Okay, good morning and welcome everybody to this Bolo Top 25 update. My name is Tamara Cherry and I'll be the moderator for this news conference. Bonjour à tous et à toutes, bienvenue à ce lancement de l'initiative Top 25 du programme Bolo. Mon nom est Tamara Cherry et je vais animer cette conférence de presse. We'll start with opening remarks from our four speakers. A question period will follow. Our speakers, as well as police partners in attendance, will then be available for one-on-one interviews. A bilingual virtual question period will also take place at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time for reporters attending our live feed. Many of you, especially here in Toronto, know me as a former crime reporter. I actually covered the very first Bolo News Conference here in Toronto 5 years ago, and many of you know that much of the work that I do now is focused on supporting trauma survivors with the media. It is in this capacity that I've worked with the Bolo program on various campaigns in recent years. These campaigns are, quite understandably, very offender-focused, but it is important to realize that behind each and every one of these crimes are victims and survivors who many times have been handed their own life sentences. 3 of those survivors are here today. They are the wife and the daughter of Edwin Alvarado and the stepson of Edwin Alvarado, who was shot to death while refereeing a soccer game right here in Toronto this past Thanksgiving weekend. Edwin's wife, Alexandra Barrera, will be our first speaker today. Alexandra, you can come up now.
Good morning, everyone. Today we should be at home preparing for the arrival of our friends and the vallenato band I want to hire. Edwin loved the vallenato music. It represents a little piece of our country, Colombia, the country he left 3 years ago because we believe Canada will be the safer for our family. I thought having a vallenato band will be the perfect way to celebrate his 50th birthday. Today will have been Edwin's 50th birthday. Instead of preparing for that party, I am here, and instead of enjoying Edwin's party for him later today, I will be visiting him at the cemetery. Edwin was all things good. He was a respectful, dependable, kind, and patient. He was enthusiastic in everything he did. Edwin always wanted to help people. Back home in Colombia, he was a teacher and psychologist and a avid cyclist. He loved cycling. He loved soccer. He loved me and our children. He loved being a dad, and he was a really, really good one. The best dad, the best husband, from the beginning until the end. Every day I am tortured by all the things I don't know. How did this happened? What if I had been there that day? He was afraid. Did he suffer? Why my Edwin? Why us? We thought we live in the safest place in the world. This is Canada. To the men who took Edwin's life, you destroy us. You destroy our family. You destroy our plans, our dreams, our sense of safety, our everything. You cannot make that right. But if you turn yourself in, you will be allow us to take our next step forward in this nightmare. Maybe then, one day, we can answer that questions that haunt us each day. And to everyone watching this, if you know where this wanted man is, please call in a tip. Help us moving forward. Help us feel safe again. Please, please, anyone who knows anything, just call.
Thank you, Alexandra. Did really well. I'd now like to call to the podium Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkiw for a few remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'd like to start by acknowledging a few people. Mr. Stefan Krejci, President and CEO of Guard the World and founder of the Bolo program. Mr. Maxime Langlois, Director of the Bolo program. Mr. Sean Sportun, Chair of the Board of Directors of Crimestoppers. Chief Inspector Adrian Rolfe, United States Marshal Service. RCMP Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDonald, Commanding Officer for RCMP E Division. RCMP Assistant Commissioner Manny Mann, Chief of the Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit of British Columbia. Superintendent Shane Perka, Edmonton Police Service. Superintendent Cliff O'Brien, Calgary Police Service. Superintendent Rhonda Corsi, York Regional Police. And Superintendent Patrick Noje, Saskatoon Police Service. I'd also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Alexandra for her courage in coming forward today to share her statement alongside her daughter Julissa and son Manny. It could not have been easy, especially on a day that was meant to be a celebration of Edwin's birthday. I truly hope that through today's Bolo event, we are able to apprehend the man responsible and give your family some sense of closure. As a police service, we are only as strong as our community partnerships. This includes partnerships with the people we serve and partnerships with the organizations that serve our goal of community safety and well-being. 5 years ago, we began a partnership with a charitable organization that on the surface seemed too good to be true. They didn't want money. They didn't want special access to our investigations. Quite simply, they just wanted to help. That organization was the Bolo program. In 5 years in our partnership, I can say with confidence that it has made communities safer. Not only here in our great city, Toronto, but indeed right across the country. We may have been the first police service to take on a Bolo campaign, but the many police officers gathered here today is a testament to the effectiveness, the integrity, and overall success of Bolo. Just as the 25 cutouts of the most wanted individuals behind me are a testament to the innovation deployed by Bolo to encourage citizens to be on the lookout for Canada's most wanted. For those who are present, it may have felt uncomfortable walking through the life-size cutouts of these most wanted individuals. And it should. These 25 individuals are wanted for crimes that have taken lives, altered lives, and left trauma that will outlive us all. Sometimes the impacts are obvious. We see the candles. We see the flowers and balloons left behind for the victims of gun violence. We see the tears of their bereaved loved ones. We see the children walking past police tape on their way to school. And sometimes the impacts are not so obvious. Long-lasting physical and psychological problems. Trauma that goes beyond the victims, beyond their loved ones, and beyond their communities. Trauma that is passed down through generations. One tragic example is the murder of Edwin Farley Alvarado Quintero. We just heard from his wife, Alexandra. Edwin was refereeing a soccer game when he was tragically shot and killed in our city last fall. The man wanted in this brazen, senseless murder is 19-year-old Cristian Cuxum. He also shot 2 other people playing soccer that day. And although the 2 players survived, they did sustain life-altering injuries. Mr. Cuxum rightly takes the new #1 spot today. If you can help us find him, a reward of up to $250,000 is now available. The #2 wanted individual is also no stranger to Toronto. Before carrying out a brazen murder in Vancouver, Rabi Al-Khalil boldly orchestrated another murder here in Toronto with the daylight shooting of a man on a crowded patio. And we jump to the #5 spot. Kirash Parzam is accused of shooting a man to death outside a Toronto subway station. Nobody should worry about being shot in this city, especially in public places, while watching a sporting event or while going about their daily lives in places they should feel safe. The success of the Bolo program is in its simplicity. If a case is featured in a Bolo campaign, we are not looking for evidence. We are not looking for witnesses to testify in court. We just need that one tip that leads us to the suspect. And thanks to the guaranteed anonymity provided by Crimestoppers, we don't even need to know who is giving us the information. Bolo is a true win-win-win for police, for the community, and for the tipster, who can pass along their information and collect their reward when applicable without ever speaking to a police officer. If you see one of these individuals on the cutouts behind me, call Crimestoppers, call police, call 911. If you know where one of these most wanted individual is, the time has come to give them up. Again, we don't need evidence. We don't need you in court. We just need to find them. And to all the suspects featured in today's top 25 list, today, your world gets smaller. We won't give up, and we will find you. Do the right thing for yourself, for your family, for your community, and for the countless people hurt by these crimes. Call a lawyer, call police, whoever you call, make arrangements to turn yourself in. Because with Bolo, police are not the only ones on the lookout for you. Everybody is. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Demkiw. I'd now like to welcome to the podium Bolo Program Director Max Langlois.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Chief. Good morning. Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Alexandra, thank you for being here. Your courage is remarkable, and your courage fuels us to be on the lookout together. Thank you. At exactly this time, on this date, in this city, 5 years ago, I stood behind a podium at the Toronto Police Service headquarters and announced the very first Bolo campaign. The aim was simple: make our community safer by encouraging citizens to be on the lookout. 5 years since this program began, we can say without a doubt that Bolo has had a sizable impact. Our signature yellow most wanted ads have been seen over 250 million times. We've had over 3 million page views on our website, over 5,000 mentions in the media, We've purchased some 250 billboards across the country. About 600 tips have been generated. And of the 46 suspects featured by Bolo before today, nearly 40% of them have been apprehended. And we continue to deploy innovative techniques to encourage you citizens to be on the lookout and to make the world smaller for these most wanted fugitives. So I stand here today with Bolo featured on the largest digital billboard in Canada, with the most wanted fugitives in the country gathered as cutouts behind me, and in one of the country's most prominent landmarks, Yonge-Dundas Square. Here, these fugitives will be seen by people who live in Toronto, people who are visiting Toronto, and thanks to our media partners, people right across the country. Each cutout is the same height and weight as the wanted fugitive, giving you a better idea of what the suspects might look like should you pass them on the street today. Our police and Crimestoppers partners have said it out loud, the Bolo program works. Nos partenaires policiers et échec au crime l'ont dit haut et fort, le programme Bolo fonctionne. But it's because of you that Bolo works. Yes, you, citizens. Whether you are here with me today or watching this from home, community safety is a shared responsibility. This program is not meant to solve the root problems to the violence that tears through our communities, but it does three very important things. First, it undoubtedly makes our communities safer. Second, it plays an extremely important role in allowing victims and survivors to take the next step forward in their most unfortunate journey. And finally, it allows all of us to stand up against those who are accused of unthinkable acts of violence and are defying our rule of law by actively evading arrest. It's time to point a finger in their direction and to say we will not stand for this. Bolo shifts the power away from the people who made us feel unsafe on our sidewalks, at our transit stations, and in other public places, and puts that power back in your hands by being on the lookout. And thanks to Crimestoppers, you can do this without ever speaking to a police officer, without ever going to court, without anyone ever knowing it was you who called in that tip. That is pretty remarkable. This is the third iteration of Bolo's Top 25 list. Today's fugitives come from 14 police services from 5 Canadian provinces as well as the United States. The Bolo program is funding a reward of up to $250,000. That's $250,000 for any information leading to the arrest of our new #1 suspect, Cristian Cuxum, wanted for murder and attempted murder by the Toronto Police Service. Le programme Bolo finance une récompense pouvant aller jusqu'à $250,000 pour toute information menant à l'arrestation de Cristian Cuxum. If you know where Mr. Cuxum is or simply where he may be, grab the phone and call Crimestoppers anonymously. As with all our rewards, this reward will be paid if the information you provide leads to the arrest of Mr. Cuxum. Period. There are no other conditions. A potential conviction in court has nothing to do with the reward being paid. Don't forget, all our rewards expire. The reward for Mr. Cuxum's arrest is only available until November 30th, 2023. So if you have something to say about where Mr. Cuxum is, or maybe grab the phone and say it now. Don't wait for another tipster to collect this life-changing money. Call now. Before I conclude, let me go through our top 5 suspects. Number 5, Kirash Parzam, wanted for murder by the Toronto Police Service with a reward of up to $50,000. Saeed Osman, wanted for murder by the Edmonton Police Service with a reward of up to $75,000. Cody Casey, wanted for drug and firearms offenses by the Vancouver Police Department, including the production and trafficking of fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine. Number 2, Rabi Al-Khalil, a twice convicted murderer, wanted for being unlawfully at large by the RCMP with a reward of up to $100,000. And our new number one, Cristian Cuxum, wanted for murder by the Toronto Police Service with a reward of up to $250,000. Our message to the public is simple: be on the lookout. Our message to these fugitives is also simple: today is a good day to turn yourself in. You've evaded arrest so far, but you can't look over your shoulder every minute of every day. And the loyalty of your friends and associates will get tested today. Just do the right thing, call a lawyer, call the police, make arrangements to turn yourself in. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Max. I'd now like to call Toronto Crimestoppers Chair Sean Sportun for a few remarks.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Alexandra, and your family for being here today. We've heard it here today. Community safety is a shared responsibility. And at Toronto Crimestoppers, we would not agree more. However, I'm going to take it a step further. Yes, we all have a role to play in community safety, but we also all have a role to play in supporting victims of crime and their families who are hurting around us, and allowing them to take the next step forward in their most unfortunate journeys. We all have a role to play in sending a clear message to those who steal away our sense of security. That, as Max said, we will not stand for. For these reasons, our partnership with the Bolo program over the past 5 years has been a natural one. Across Canada, Crimestoppers represents a partnership between the public, the police, and the media that provides citizens in our communities a conduit to anonymously provide information about a crime, potential crime, or, as with this initiative announced today, information on the whereabouts of wanted suspects. Toronto Crimestoppers is proud to allow citizens in our community to provide anonymous information without the fear of retribution, and thanks to this partnership with the Bolo program, the potential for major cash rewards. The role of Toronto Crimestoppers remains the same on the Top 25 initiative. Every one of these top 25 cases is ready to go to court. Investigators are not looking for evidence, they are not looking for witnesses, they just need to know where the fugitives are located. If you know where these individuals are and wish to remain anonymous, call Crimestoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or submit a tip online at 222tips.com. Our anonymous phone line and web tips are supervised 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and in over 200 languages. The information you provide Crimestoppers will be immediately forwarded to the investigators assigned to these cases, most of whom are here today. And in some cases, you'll be eligible for a reward of up to $50,000, $75,000, $100,000, and $250,000. Crimestoppers will always guarantee your anonymity, and you will never be summoned to testify in court. So if you know where any of these individuals are, you have any information that can assist investigators involved in these cases, come forward, speak up, break the code of silence, and by doing so, you'll be making your community safer. More importantly, you'll be allowing victims and survivors to move forward while also showing the offenders of this violence that we, as a community, stand together against the violence, not with it. I will conclude by once again reminding everybody that community safety is a shared responsibility. Together, we can create a safer community right across Canada. Toronto Crimestoppers is committed in our efforts to mobilize the community to see it, say it, stop it for a safer Toronto. Remember, with Crimestoppers, you remain anonymous. Criminals don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everybody. Before we start question period, I would like to remind reporters attending through our live feed that Bolo Director Max Langlois will be available for a bilingual online Q&A at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you wish to attend, please email a request to info@boloprogram.org. before 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. A link with instructions to join the Q&A will be provided. So we'll now start the question period, but I would like reporters here to kindly note that any case-specific or suspect-specific questions can be directed to the relevant police investigators. There are various investigators here right from across the country who will be doing one-on-one interviews right after the question period. And if I may ask, just try to raise your voices. We don't have a microphone set up for you guys today asking your questions, but just so that our online partners can hear you as well. And we'll get going. Shauna? So Chief Demkiw, or any suspect or case-related specific questions, the investigators can do one-on-one interviews in front of the cutout after. It's okay. Oh, Mr. Langlois, see?
Yes, that's a very good question. How do we determine who's number one? The Bolo program is a committee with 7 members. I chair the committee, and we have 6 active Canadian police investigators sitting in that committee. Most of them are here today. And we go through the tedious work of assessing these cases. It's always, there's a number of requirements, including the fact that there's a Canada-wide warrant for Mr. Cuxum. He's wanted for the gravest crime in our criminal code, for murder, and also for attempted murder, 2 counts. You know, the gravity of this case is extreme. The community impact is also extreme. There's a man accused of murder who is walking in the GTA, likely now, with the weapon that was used to commit that murder. It is not perfect science to come up with this top 25. We have to use our judgment. So we use a mix of our policies, procedures, and our judgment. That's why Mr. Cuxum is number one here today. So the question is about how many the Bolo program has paid in reward over the last 5 years. I can answer generically that question. So we've offered about $2 million in rewards so far in 5 years of history, and it's about a quarter that's been paid out. And now if you're wondering where the rest of the money is, it's still in active rewards as I speak today. All our rewards expire. So if you go on our website, you're going to have the most accurate information about each case. So all the new rewards, there's one new reward we're announcing today for Mr. Cuxum. So it's valid now until November 30th, 2023. And we've also renewed a lot of rewards today. But some of them will expire before.
Final question. Not over 25 years you want to have the rules of cash for my recall. Just before you tell people, why would anyone want to play if there's no cash incentive?
Why? Because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do to call in if you have any information about these most wanted individuals. They're dangerous. They're posing a threat to our communities. We have to stand up as a community. We shall not tolerate any of this. Community safety is a shared responsibility. Yes, there's one suspect from the US because he may be in Canada. So the Bolo program is a national initiative and it's a Canadian program. So it's exclusively focused on Canada. But we cannot not acknowledge the fact that there may be foreign fugitives who are in our country and are posing a threat to our community. So there's one American suspect in the top 25 as well as one Indian suspect. Yes. So the question is about how you end up being featured by Bolo if you're a suspect. So the very first thing is that now we work with case submissions. So we must receive, so the police service must approach us with a case submission to be analyzed by our committee, and then the suspect may end up being featured by Bolo in the top 25 when we update the top 25. That is a #1 criteria. Everything the Bolo program does is complementary to police services. We don't want to interfere with any police investigation. So we take for granted that when a police service submits a case submission to us, it's because it could be beneficial for us to amplify the case. Anything else?
And I'll try to monopolize it. Is it also not fair to say that usually the emergency services have they sort of exhausted they've done a public appeal. This is now going through yesterday.
The public appeal is usually done pretty early in a fugitive investigation. Is it safe to assume that they've exhausted their leads? I will say so, but that's a case-by-case thing, and you know that's something you can ask the lead investigators after. Anything else? Yes, sir? Sorry, I can't hear you. Sorry. The question is about how often associates come forward. Well, sometimes these wanted individuals don't have associates. It's not that they're not all part of criminal organizations. Sometimes they just have friends and family. I don't receive the tips. Police services receive the tips. I don't know what the tips are. Sometimes we've paid rewards and we don't even know who ends up with the money. That's not for us to decide. It's for Crimestoppers and the police. So I don't have a better answer than that, fortunately. Anything else?